This video is not for persons under the age of 13. By watching this video, you are declaring that you are above 13 years of age. Hello all. What you're looking at here is where I got to on Friday. We did a live painting. This is a watercolor on £140 cold press watercolor paper, and we just did the first basic layer or so. So what I want to do in this particular video is bring it to its completion, and that will mean adding various bits and making sure that I've got some stronger tonal values in there and making it all balanced up. So that's what we're going to do today. The first thing I want to do is soften the sky up a little bit. It's not a key element, but I still want to give a little bit more softness to it. So all you really need to do with that is get your brush, wet it with some nice clean water. Make sure that you've not got too much water on the actual brush when you put it down, and just go around some of the edges that are a little bit hard, and then you get that soft fluffiness that you expect to see with clouds. In certain places you might want it to have that dry hard line, but more often than not it's better if it's like that. So that's that done. Just get a little bit there, and it just nips the edge off that hardness. The next thing we want to consider is this here, and this will help us dictate how dark the rest of the painting is going to be, because this is literally the darkest area of the painting. So I'm going to get some really dark green, and I'm going to add some burnt umber to it. Hopefully we'll get some type of very dark almost black like colour. Some more dark green in there. I want it to have a definite hue of green, and it's all that area there. So that will dry a lot lighter actually, but that should be okay. And while we've got this green, another area that, although I don't want it to be too blatantly dark, is the tops of the there's some trees in the front and there's some trees behind on this. And I'm just going to emphasize that. I'm not doing, you know, each branch. And something as well that we need to take into account is see if we can get some of this area to be darker. And it all helps in the long run, this building up of darker tones. It helps give a real sense of three-dimensionality. Put a bit of dark there and there's a bit of tree there, and at this side as well I am going to use the green because it's the colour that it's helping create that darkness. So I'm going to use the rest of that greeny colour up and do part of the side of the person here. And strengthening that shadow area. Because of the glare on the paint while it's wet, you're probably not going to see all of that. And is I don't know, this thing that he is using to hold the lead. I'm gonna make the lead like that. Put some more in there. So we can definitely tell that light's coming in from this side. But we'll see how that looks when we get to doing that there. So one thing I do want to do is get a little bit more yellow into this bit of the dog here, like that, and then try and find a nice browny colour that has a little bit of red. But again, this is going to be fairly dark when we're done with it. So I don't know whether I want to be a little bit splatty with this, but I'm going to be very, very careful about that. Adding bits of lighter area to that side. And when that's dry, I'll do the opposite and do a darker area. So I'm going to get what's left of that green and some of that yellow, and just give that a bit of interesting texture. And then as we come round this side, and that area there will be a little bit dark. Because it's on a little bit of an incline. So this side's like that, and the other side's like that, and light's coming from this side and it's hitting that side. But we're going to let this dry for a bit now, see how it settles, and we'll move on from there. I'm going to go to this area here and use a much smaller brush now for doing, not detail, but areas of texture that I want to get in. And I'm just going to use a blue, very dry, if I can. Just going to get rid of as much as I can off it. And this is fairly dry brush, this. Don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to wet it ever so slightly. We're just giving like areas of darkness, that's a bit too hard. And make it look like branches of a tree. But they're just random strokes really, and they're not, you can't really say, oh, that's that particular branch. They're just strokes that you can add. And I'm going to change the colour slightly, because we don't want it all looking exactly the same. And in certain areas up at the top here as well, we can get some lighter colours. Always remembering to try and keep the bottom half darker. It seems to peter off a little bit, the tree. Then there's like this reddish tree here, which I'm going to leave like that because I think that's okay, that. And then something like that. And then we've got some like fern trees that are very, very straight. And that you just seem to have like that. And most of the rest of what's there with this is just bits of background. I'm not really going to overemphasize that. Just and this, by the way, is very, very dry brush. And right, a little bit of blue here, and then I think for the very, very background trees, I think we're done. And by this time we've got some blues and browns in it, just at the bottom area. That now gives us an opportunity to get a bit more definition in this doggy here. Maybe So apart from getting the trees a bit more defined, we're not really that far away from finishing. Just going to get one last little dab to indicate an eye there, and I think that's that done. One or two more emphases on various things. Re-emphasize the lead it's on. We'll do a little bit more deep green at this side, just in certain areas. And literally all we've got to do now is a little bit of work on these trees, and I'm going to get like a creamy colour and see whether I can lighten it up first. And then go for the contrast. A bit of there are several trees there, but they all seem to look as though they're blending into one another. So that's exactly how I'm going to deal with it. And we'll take a look at that once that's dry. I do want to do one very last thing, and that's make another dark again with a green, and make this really dark as I can get it. So I'm going to use some ultramarine blue, some burnt umber, and some dark green, and that's for the very final edges like that. Tiny little bits here and there. Not sure that's dark. That starts dark but it fades. And I'll just see if I can get rid of these teeny splotches that I've made, and that'll be it, I think. So we can make that a bit more interesting. Right, we'll let that dry and we'll see what it looks like, and that'll be it done, I think. So I've let it settle a bit. I'm going to use this and just do some minor details and a bit of dark and a bit of orange. See if we can, that's it. And just get a teeny bit of texture in it. And something else I do need to do as well is re-emphasise the trunks of the trees. Then they also will have shadowing going in that direction. You can't see the trunk for that one because I've obscured it with that. I'm going to bring that up there and then down like that. Give that some It's a bit broken up with the grass being a bit rough, so you're not going to see a strong shadow on it like you would close up here. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a painting done. If I work at it anymore, it'll start getting too muddy, and we don't want that. So it started off as a live stream a few days ago. We brought it to a completion now by doing the tonal values to the first effects layer, if you want to call it that, and there it is finished. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you've learnt from it, and we'll see you again on another painting or piece of art that we put up on the social media. Bye for now.